And we're live. How you doing? Josh LePain. Should we introduce you?
Doing good.
Should I just call you Piz?
Call me Piz, that's cool.
I feel like that's all I've ever called you is just LePiz.
Yeah, that's what everybody calls me.
You're not French, are you? You're Italian, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Italian. It was Lapani, and they changed the I to an E when they came through Ellis Island, yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, my grandfather's name is on, like, the plaque there. It's pretty sweet.
On Lapani?
Yeah, Salvatore.
Salvatore,
Lapani.
Shit.
Whatever his name was, yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, you guys are...
I was in elementary school, and they took us to Ellis Island and to Ellis Island, the Statue of Liberty Island, and they had the plaque there. It was sick. I was that's my grandfather.
With your grandfather's name on it?
I was like, that's cool. You type in, like, the computer, it tells you exactly what brick to walk to.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
It makes it real convenient.
There's a computer there, or you got to do it, like...
No, there's a computer there.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, dude, because... You know all those, like, Ancestry websites and shit?
Yeah.
I can't do that because I'm, like, the first generation. Well, I guess my parents are the first generation. But, like, my grandfather didn't live in the States.
Yeah.
So the States have no record of them. Maybe now they have a better job of, like, a worldwide database. But I remember when it first came out and I tried to do it when I was, like, in high school. It's like, oh no, you're not in the database because you're not American. Like your family wasn't American. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I've heard like the Mormon Church. I might be wrong on this, but I heard the Mormon Church has like a recollection of a lot of like old American families.
Really?
Because a lot of like, I feel like a lot of Mormons are usually far generation, like 5 or 6 generations into being American.
Yeah.
For the most part,
dude.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, if I knew my whole lineage before America, that'd be sick, but I don't because they're not American, which is weird that you come to America
and it's just like
and you actually have lineage, but before that, you know,
I'm sure there's laws that have something to do with like how you can access records without, you know, from other countries, and I feel like assuming that Ancestry.com or whatever is an American website, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, it's cool, man. I wish I knew more about my own lineage too, because like, I know my mom's side's Italian and then my dad's side is Spanish. And that's about it. So, and like, I also feel like I need to do those.
There's probably more than that, though.
Yeah, there definitely is.
100%.
There definitely is. I just know, like...
I was like 1% Middle Eastern.
Like, just general names, you know? Like, Gonzalez is a Spanish name and Lozano is Italian. I could see that. You tan really easily, but that's probably...
Yeah, but that's Greek and Italian.
Yeah.
Which is what I thought. I'm German. I'm like the same German as I am Italian.
I mean, Greece is so close to the Middle East, too. There could be a little, you know, I could see that.
Yeah.
Why that happened. But, yeah, I want to do one of those. And also, I want to do the one where it's getting your predispositions. So I want to know about that.
For what, like diseases
you'll
get?
Yeah, for diseses. Because
that's
I do
scary.
know
that's
I
like
have, like, high cholesterol.
Right now?
Well, no, like...
or in the
history
family
of it, yeah.
I got
a history of like my dad does, and like my uncles do, and then like my grandfather had diabetes, but I don't know if that gets passed down or whatever.
See, like a lot of it is like genetic, and I don't want to say that it's like there's genetics and there's epigenetics, and epigenetics you can change. So like what you do on your daily life can affect what your DNA looks like. So like if you're exercising regularly or eating food like that is healthier, you'll probably have healthier DNA. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're having like, I mean, most carb-rich diets, cancer eats carbohydrates, and that's why like keto is huge. You know, it wasn't made for weight loss by any means. Keto was made for cancer patients. Which, if you watch a lot of the Netflix documentaries about keto, it'll go into like people with autism, cancer, like diseases, not people that are trying to get like shredded or.
So what do you mean when you say that cancer eats?
I mean, it feeds on carbohydrates. Like glucose is what fuels cancer cells. All cells live with carbohydrates. Yeah. But like for some reason, cancer that's what they say is it feeds on glucose.
Interesting.
So if you cut out glucose, you're basically hopefully going to kill the cancer cell or at least stop it from growing further.
Yeah. So would you then? So me and Staley like often debate or like try to figure out, because I feel like, so we both have done keto numerous times, and we've done it really, really hard one time for a long amount of time. I think it was like 8 weeks or maybe a little bit longer. And then we've done it a shorter amount of time, like 4 weeks, but then going to the gym very aggressively and like having, like you were saying, a lot of cardio and intermittent fasting type things. It wasn't intermittent fasting, but like I wouldn't eat till noon, and then I wouldn't eat any later than like 6 o'clock, you know? And
so you were fasting?
Is that, I thought intermittent fasting was like 4 hours.
Intermittent fasting can be, I mean...
Any sort of window?
There's a lot of different kinds of fasting because you could do full day fasting and that's not technically intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is when you're doing like a window of, I want to say it's usually 6 to 8 hours. Mm-hmm. You can fast for less. You can do the warrior diet, I believe it's called, the warrior fast, where you literally just eat all your calories in one meal. So like if you're going to just eat once a day, you would do it 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, however, whatever your caloric intake would be, you'd eat that all at once. So you can have like, I mean, people are eating shitty foods when they do a lot of intermittent fasting. Yeah. But if you're going keto, I mean, it could be done. How do you like? Were you eating the right amount of?
Yeah, dude, I love keto, and I feel like so.
Do you know what your calorie intake was? Were you actually?
No, but I was doing like the grams of. So the first couple times I did it very intensely.
Okay.
Where it was how many grams of protein, how many grams of fats, how many grams of carbs, blah, blah, blah.
Per day kind of thing. Yeah.
Eventually, I kind of understood how much like my meals was. Because I generally stick to the same meals. Like I always eat the same breakfast. Even when I'm off keto, right. I'll always have the same breakfast, which is 3 eggs scrambled, either 2 pieces of bacon or some sausage, and then half an avocado.
Word.
Is usually what I always eat. On keto, I don't add ketchup, but I just stick to hot sauce. Sometimes I add ketchup, depends. But yeah, and I only drink water. I don't drink coffee. So I knew what my breakfast was. So then my lunches and my dinners would just depend on like what I was eating, which a lot of times would just be, you know, ground lean turkey in a butter leaf lettuce as a taco. You know, and that's what I would eat for like lunch and stuff. So eventually, after doing it multiple times, I've done keto like 5 times now. So,
and you were getting enough fat intake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it feels wrong, but cream cheese is like a lifesaver.
You're eating a lot of cheese.
A lot of it, dude.
A lot of dairy.
And a lot of oils. You know?
A lot of oil, yeah.
Yeah. So dairy, not so much because outside of cheese, because milk, I don't drink milk. And I can't have cereal. So
right.
I wasn't going to do that. Like I don't drink coffee, so I don't drink creamer. I think not a lot of yogurts are
sugar-free.
Are keto, yeah. So not too
keto,
much, but
technically you're allowed up to 30 grams of carbs.
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah. And that's what I would do. So like, you know, my breakfast was like usually like 8 carbs.
Okay.
And then depending on like, sometimes I would have other stuff with it, you know. And it was mostly just like the 1 or 2 carbs you get from, sometimes I would add, you know, peppers to it or onion or something like that. And like usually it's like minimal. And then like, for example, one of the biggest meals that we like to eat when we're doing it is a chicken broccoli bake, which is just chicken broccoli with like a layer of cheese and cream cheese. And you just like stir it up, and it's super, super good, but it's super rich. It's incredible because you're just eating
the
cream cheese.
Yeah,
it just creams all out, and when you put it in the oven, so the cream cheese just melts into a sauce. But it's the richest, creamiest sauce you've ever had, and it's really good.
That sounds bomb. I might just make that myself.
It's good. Sometimes I'll crush up pork rinds and do it as a crust, you know,
get some
instead of
texture
breadcrumbs.
on it.
Exactly,
yeah, for sure.
And like we would eat that probably 3 to 4 times a week, just because it's so good. And so like that's a huge amount of fat.
Yeah,
that's a huge amount of fat. And we would eat the whole thing. We'd split it in half, and we use about a full thing of cream cheese, plus on top of a bunch of more cheese and all that stuff. So I never found myself, when I was measuring, being under the fats. It felt guilty, you know.
Eating all of the fat, you mean? Yeah.
Protein I've never had a problem with because I eat a lot of protein. And then, the carbs suck. But after a while, there's also a lot of things now, man. The last time I did keto, there's a lot of things that make it a lot easier now. They do keto tortillas now.
They cater to that population a lot better now, yeah. Gluten-free the same way, yeah.
4 grams of carbs per tortilla, which is not bad because, like, I'm not going to eat...
Well, it gives you the benefit of being able to eat the tortilla, yeah.
So sometimes if I want to, I'll do, or if I'm on the rush, put my breakfast in a burrito.
Yeah.
And I can eat that. You know, 4, 5, 6, I think is like the
now,
different
do they
levels
stay, like, pliable? Like, do they break easily?
Man, I wish
tortillas?
I had one. No, if you...
Or is it like exactly like a normal tortilla?
I will never buy...
A regular
tortilla. It tastes exactly the same. And this is like, obviously, like, supermarket tortillas. Like if you get like really handmade ones, they obviously, but
Yeah.
it just tastes exactly the same. I really could not tell. Like maybe the texture is a little bit rougher, a tiny bit. But we
you don't think they break more easily?
No,
okay,
no,
because that's a big. I'm gluten free, so when I get the rice tortillas, or I mean, I could do corn. I don't really like corn.
Well, see, that's the thing. So Staley's gluten free as well, so we never eat flour, and I've always preferred corn tortillas. So,
but they only make the small ones.
Yeah,
I can never get like a burrito sized corn tortilla. Yeah, which to me is the only reason I'm going to have a tortilla is for a burrito, not like.
Just
I could make tacos,
too, dude. Just this last week, I saw for the first time they have gluten free tortillas.
They're usually made from rice flour, so that's what I was going to say.
But
they break very easily.
Really?
I have them right now, and I hate them.
Are they from that? It's like the little Mission.
Mission brand. Yeah.
Those are it.
Yep.
And they break really easily.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I wish I had some right now. But
and I've tried tricks where you like wet it and put it in the microwave and try to like it'll become a little bit more pliable. You can move it more, but like once you start to use it and put food in it and try to roll a burrito,
it just breaks.
It breaks. So it's like you might as well just fork and knife it or eat the damn tortilla by itself.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you do get them, it's gluten free. I couldn't tell you, but the carb ones, what I found, which you're supposed to do for all tortillas, by the way, is oil. So you put a little bit. So I have like a little cast iron thing.
Yeah.
Where I can cook my tortillas on. It's not a pan. It's just like the actual. It's just flat.
Oh yeah, okay. Is it like rectangle, the square?
Yeah, it's a circle, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like a griddle sort of thing.
Interesting.
It's for tortillas, and I just put a dollop, like a little drop of oil on it, and then just use my hand and just kind of coat the whole surface. And that oil, for some reason, and then when I cook it, the oil just makes it a little bit more pliable. For some reason,
I'll have to try that.
It's a little bit better texture. Yeah, all your tortillas, add a little bit of oil into it, or even just to the pan if you want. Just kind of coat them like with a very, very, very thin layer. And
it's funny you say because the high fat for keto is I used to do.
Have you done it?
I've done keto a couple of times, and getting high fats is definitely hard, especially when you're not used to eating high fats. I was doing tablespoons of olive oil, like literally I'd eat my meal of protein and then like whatever protein, cheese, and veggies. And then I would do my olive oil tablespoons. I'd have like 2 or 3 after I eat the meal.
So would you say that, so like if you don't get enough fats, what happens? Because from my understanding, and you can prove me wrong, is when so your body runs on carbs for energy for the most part. If you're not on a diet.
It runs on both, but yeah.
On both. Okay, so, but carbs are kind of, right, the energy source they say. And so when you stop doing that, then your body resorts to going to your fats to burn the energy first before the carbs. And so you got to get enough like fats in to have enough energy, right? And if you don't get enough fats, then is that like dangerous, or what happens if you don't get enough fats in?
Well, so it's funny because if you go, I'll start here. If you go over with carbohydrate intake, if you're having a normal diet of carbs, proteins, and fats, and you're just eating whatever you want to eat, no macro counting, nothing, just eating normally. If you have your protein, you're good because that's for muscle recovery. That's what it's going to, is all towards muscle supporting growth or preventing breakdown. That's what protein's used for. When you go to carbohydrates, it's mostly for like that quick explosive power movements, or like if you're going to go run anything that's really intense, so weightlifting generally is intense regardless of what weights you're moving.
No, yeah, you're moving weights.
You're moving weights. It's intense for the muscle. You're tricking the muscle. It's hard. High intensity running, sprinting, stuff like that, burpees, jumping, anything where you're really using a lot of energy is going to be carbs. And then fats are generally used for like aerobic, steady state. Most fat is burned at rest. So like when you're just chilling, sitting on the couch, you're burning fat for energy because it's like you're not calling on more. You're not asking for more. You're just asking for whatever your body has.
Yeah.
So if you eat a high fat diet, you really want to eat a lot, because when you overeat fats, your body's like, wow, I have a lot of fat. I need to get rid of it. So you can still have carbohydrates. And there's Ben Polkulski. He's a great guy. He used to compete on the Olympia stage. Mm-hmm. So he's a professional bodybuilder. And he'd place like top 5, and he'd use science to back his training, which a lot of them do. But he talks to a lot of doctors and does a lot of unconventional things that aren't really making headline, like they're not mainstream yet. And so ketogenic diet is one of them, but you can do the ketogenic diet while still having optimum performance. Like you can have carbohydrates on a keto diet and still be technically in a very good metabolic zone for burning fat. You know, you don't necessarily need to go completely off of carbohydrates to still optimize fat burn. Mm-hmm. But you do want to switch to fats and have a lot of fats, because the more fats you have, the easier it'll be to switch into ketosis. So once you have that plentiful amount of fats and cut the carbs low, your body needs to resort to fats. Yeah. So usually if you're going to do the switch, you should automatically jump into high fat right away, as opposed to easing into it because you're scared. Yeah. You know?
Well, that's one thing. I never eased into it. Like we always, if we're going to do keto, it's like a day. Like it's today, you're done.
Yeah, you got to.
Today is like high fat, low carb, whatever. Mm-hmm. But so my question to you is then like, would you say that in a normal, so let's say, because can you live in keto? Yeah, I've heard that you're not supposed to.
Yeah,
so, but you can. Okay, but sometimes
most mainstream doctors will tell you no. Most mainstream doctors will tell you not to take certain, like, don't be careful of how much protein you take. It's linked to kidney failure or kidney disease, or don't take creatine because it's also linked to that. But if you're drinking a ton of water and you're smart and you're not just over consuming supplements, it's a supplement. Yeah. It's not your diet. It's adding to the diet. That's what a supplement is for. If you're eating plenty of protein, you're not going to have kidney damage. If you're not breaking down muscle tissue, the protein may be excessive, so you might not need it. You might just add fat, and that's just not what you want, because it'll just be stored just like carbs would be stored, just like fat will be stored as fat,
So would you recommend then for like a normal diet? So like, let's say like I'm not doing keto, I'm not doing anything, I'm weightlifting, 2 or 3 times a week, but you're not training anything, you're not doing anything crazy, you're not playing a sport, you're not running 8 miles a day, just a normal average human being goes to work, whatever, tries to hit the gym as much as they want.
Right.
Would you recommend, like, because they say balanced diet, but would you recommend having lower carbs, or like watching your carbs or watching your fats? Like what intake would you think is more important to watch on like a normal basis?
Well, I mean, of course your goals matter.
For health wise, not for like
losing weight. So if you're going to talk, we'll say longevity, because longevity would mean you're going to try to be as healthy as you can, as long as you can. You want to go up until like, I don't know, I want to live till I'm 75, 80, 90, 100. Our generation could luckily get up into the 110, 120 range with like the medicine we had as kids growing up. But I would say longevity purposes, going ketogenic is probably the best bet. When you're over consuming foods, I have a feeling that's when the cancers start to happen, and that's why cancer is so like prominent nowadays, is because people are overeating carbohydrates, and carbohydrates feed cancer from what research has shown. So if carbs are feeding cancer and you're overeating, you're just going to stir up. I mean, you're going to be building cells. When you're growing, you're building cells. So building cells is what's going to cause cancer, because cancer is also going to grow as well. So when you're in a fat state in a ketogenic diet or a lower calorie restrictive diet, usually you'll be better off from cancer and you may live longer. Your just performance may not be as great, which again, performance is a short-lived thing. Your prime isn't going to be forever. There'll be a time when it starts to fall off and you can't control that. So I don't know. For longevity purposes, I would say a higher fat diet might be more beneficial, and a lower restricting carbohydrate diet is probably the better
bet. Could you
bet.
then like not be in keto and not say, okay, like my body isn't in ketosis, like, because I have the ketosis strips too. So like when I do keto, I know like what level I am or whatever, the amount of ketones I have in my body. But if I'm not doing it, and I just say, well, yeah, I'm just going to, most of my meals have lower carbs and just stay the higher fats. If my body's not in ketosis, how does that affect me?
So it doesn't mean you're not burning fat. You're still burning fat, but being in ketosis just means you're at a level of ketones that are in the blood, in the urine when you're testing your strip. But if your ketones aren't that high, it doesn't mean you're not burning fat. It just means you're not burning enough fat so that like it's really showing up, Yeah. So you can optimize fat burn, and that's what'll cause you to go into ketosis specifically. But just because you're not like in ketosis doesn't mean you're not burning fat. There's research that says when you're in the morning, cortisol affects your ketosis. So if you test yourself in the morning and you're like, oh shit, why am I not in ketosis? You may be, but cortisol is spiked, and that'll blunt the effect. Really? So it may just show up that you're not in ketosis when you may still be, in fact, in ketosis.
That's funny, because I have noticed that sometimes, because I try to test myself at the same time, but sometimes like just work or whatever doesn't let you.
I think if you do it multiple times in a day, see that, because in the morning you may not be as good as you are later in the afternoon because of cortisol, and everybody knows cortisol is highest in the morning.
Yeah.
That's when most heart attacks happen. That's when once that stress level goes up.
What is cortisol?
Cortisol is what wakes you up. I mean, cortisol is the stress hormone.
Okay.
So it'll wake you up in the morning, and that's why you get going, because you have that cortisol stressed you out. So now you're up and you're awake, and that's why you're awake.
That's why I hate the mornings, because
you may have low cortisol.
Yeah, maybe, dude.
You may have low cortisol if you don't want to get up. Getting up is a good reaction because that's what's supposed to happen.
I feel like that might be a thing. I struggle really, really hard with like moving states. Like what state I'm in, I find it really difficult to move. So I have a lot of problems sleeping. Like no matter how tired I am, if I've been walking 20,000 steps, if I went on a fucking 4-mile run, if I was weight training all day, whatever, if I was hiking all day, it still takes me a while to go to bed. Like when we go hunting and all you're doing is out in the sun, tracking an animal and walking with gear on and everything, it still takes me a minimum of an hour to go to bed. And then waking up is so rough. I'm like not really mentally there for a while in the morning, no matter what I eat or anything. Like I've tried to eat or to drink like V8 juice to like, maybe it's like low blood sugar or something, and it kind of makes me feel all right. But yeah, in the morning it's really hard for me to wake up and really be like full minded. You know, and keto helps me for sure with that. That's like the one thing that it helps me out with.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've heard funny things because I've heard keto is great for sleep. At first, you may be a little stressed out because your body's now freaking out.
Well, you always get the keto flu for a little bit.
So that first week could be kind of shitty. Maybe in the first 2 weeks could be bad, depending on how long it takes somebody to get into ketosis. But it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because when you do keto, it actually makes your sleep more efficient. So you're actually going to sleep probably less. You may actually sleep like 5 or 6 hours as opposed to like an 8 or 9 hour sleep, depending on what your average is. But if you go from 8 usually, and it's kind of like a broken sleep, you may go to 6 and it may be a better, deeper sleep. So I noticed when I did keto, I slept a lot better. I don't know if I was getting 8 or 6. I wasn't really keeping track of my sleep, but I did sleep well and I did wake up more well rested. Mm-hmm. I would say, I mean, usually if you're out hiking all day or you're exercising a lot, or if you just have a busy life and your work schedule is hectic and you're stressed out, your nervous system is going to be cranking, you know? Yeah. There's the two different nervous systems. You have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, but you can turn off I don't want to say turn off. You can rewire your nervous system through breathing. And so a lot of research now is showing that breath and the way you breathe can affect your stress and your anxiety. People might be really wired. If you can get your breath down to probably 6 beats or 6 breaths per minute, that's like optimal. Most people are right on the cusp. Some are a little higher. If you tend to get stressed, then you breathe into the shoulders, or if you're running, people breathe through the shoulders. They don't breathe deep into the stomach, and they start to breathe faster. That's usually going to cause your nervous system to go haywire, and that'll cause sleep problems. Mm-hmm. So you can try, if you want to think about doing breaths, maybe try to get 4 in a minute. That'd be a goal. If you can breathe 4 times in a minute and really just slow everything down, it's proven that it'll slow you down. You'll probably sleep way better at night.
Yeah, because I get horrible sleep sometimes, man.
Do you wake up all night? Do you toss and turn?
All the time.
Yeah.
I wake up minimum 2 to 3 times a night. Just waking up like, just like your body's going, and then just like figuring out where you are, and then you go back to bed.
Now, I don't know if that's like the case of maybe the breathing is fine, and you may not fall into that category. Yeah. A lot of people may just have, sleep apnea is huge, and people don't know they have it, and you never know. You may think that's something you can get later in your life, but
it's always around.
You never know. I mean, some people just, now with kids being so big, there's a lot of overweight kids, especially because the phones, everybody's playing games. I mean, Fortnite was like hell. Once Fortnite came out on the phone, I see all these kids running around at the gym just
they all have iPads and
playing Fortnite. That's going to cause sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. When you block
all
those
blue light too,
the airways. Yeah. When you block the airways from just weight gain and you're closing those up, you can't breathe properly, and now you're going to be a mouth breather. And if you're a mouth breather, you're probably not breathing correctly.
Yeah.
Every breath should be in and out of the nose, not even out of the mouth.
Well, that's funny because like, so
if you tape your mouth shut and exercise and you can keep that breath under control, you're going to train your body to adapt better and more efficiently, and you'll probably be burning more fat, and you'll just be more efficient. Because I mean, it won't be the greatest at first, and you're gonna have to train yourself because you'll probably be gasping for air.
Yeah,
and it's not something you can just do overnight, and you should probably do it not exercising first. You know, I wouldn't say go run on a treadmill and try to just breathe through your nose and
you'll just choke.
You know, you'll be like, you know, and you can't do that.
Yeah. I feel that. No, that's funny that you say that though, because I feel like I do feel that way, that sometimes I'm not breathing the right way, and that like it causes my stress. Like when I find myself being stressed, it's always like just like
you may not even realize.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting down. I'm just doing, or I'm just walking around. I'm just breathing through my mouth instead of just like sitting down and just breathing. And that's why, I mean, if you look at it, meditation is just about breathing. I try to meditate a lot. I probably should do it a lot more than I do. I probably only do it like twice a week max. But it's all breathing. And you feel so good afterwards, and it's not necessarily what you're doing up here. It's just like the oxygen just going in and getting, like, I don't know how you meditate. If you meditate, do you meditate? Sometimes?
Not like a sit down and meditate like breathing, but there are certain techniques that I use while training, which I'd call meditation. But yeah. So I would say yes.
The way I do it is like I sit down and then just like get comfortable, close my eyes, and then just start deep breathing and like just kind of thinking about like scanning down on your body, like the pressure of the feet on the floor and your seat and like your hands, whatever, just kind of like getting in tune with your own body. And then I just count 10 breaths, just in, out, 1, 2, and I just count just to 10 and restart, and just do that for like a couple minutes. And that's all I do. And your brain is like focused on that. If your brain starts to drift, you just go back to the counting and just breathe in, out, in, out.
Well, you're rewiring your brain.
Yeah.
You literally are rewiring your nervous system. And if you think about when you meditate, after you meditate, your probably response to something may not be as exaggerated as it would have been before meditating.
Yeah.
You know, if you're someone that has like road rage, or like just
general snappiness,
that switch might flip like really quickly.
Yeah.
It could just be because you're not calm, you know? Your reaction is just a reaction. And what kind of reaction do you want to have is up to you. But if you're really stressed and you're just going nuts, triggered. You're going to freak out. Yeah. Whereas if you can calm that mind down and really like think about what the situation is, if it's really a big deal or not, that's like the better response to have. And here even, I mean, you literally, you drive on the roads and you see the road rage, and that person is just freaking out for no reason when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like what's the rush in your life?
No,
you know?
if
somebody's dying and you need to go see them, I could probably understand that. You know, that's like a extreme case of when you should be in a rush to go somewhere. Other than that, like people can fucking wait for you.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not like, what's so funny too is like, so I don't think I get road rage like by myself, but I get road rage when other people road rage at me. You know what I'm saying? When I'm like driving like a little bit over the speed limit on the highway, and somebody just comes barreling at me, and they're just like honking at me, and they're like trying to get across, and they do that shit where it's like they move across and just like gas it next to you. I'm just like, dude, chill out. That like triggers me too. But it's like I also, and I see it all the time when you're like doing that on the street and somebody just gets across really hard, and then you hit a red light and they don't, and then you catch up with them on the next one. It's like, dude, the way the streets work, you're really not saving that much time.
No, yeah, only on a freeway.
Seconds.
Only on a freeway is it more understandable, but even then, what is the rush? You're going to save 5 minutes maybe. What is that 5 minutes really going to get you to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless somebody's literally going to die, then that really doesn't show me like...
Yeah.
But the texting and driving is what gets me.
That's, dude, well, I don't know if you have it on your... Well, because your car's kind of older, right? But like I have the new CarPlay, Apple CarPlay, dude. You know what that is? So a lot of the newer vehicles have on the screens that they have the dashboards. When you plug in an iPhone, or I think it's just an iPhone. It might work with Androids. Do you have an iPhone?
I have the Pixel.
You have the Pixel?
Google phone.
So I think it might work with those too. I'm not sure though. But for me, who have an Apple phone, it's called Apple CarPlay, and you plug it in, and basically what it is, it's a mini version of your phone. So it's just like black and it's got the same little icons for text messaging, phone, whatever. And, you know, you got your music and
so your apps
podcasts.
show up?
Certain apps that go.
I gotcha.
So like for me, it's only like Apple Music, podcasts, Google Maps, Spotify, and your phone and texting.
Right.
And it obviously doesn't let you text, but you could see your text and you could read it out. And so you click on it. So when somebody texts you, it reads it to you and it says, you know, Piz said, I'll be at the gym at 4. Would you like to reply? And you can just say yes or no. And then I'll say yes. And he's like, what would you like to say? I'll be there in 10 minutes as well. And then it sends it out for you.
So speech to text.
So it's speech to text. And same thing with phone. I just have a button on my thing where I just say it and say, call my mom, call whoever. I used to be notoriously bad with my phone. Always texting, always choosing a new song, always doing that shit. And then once I got my new car and got that CarPlay, I never touched my phone. Ever. It's the most helpful thing in the world. I feel so productive. Like when I have the really busy days and I have to call a lot of people, I have to message a lot of people, I got to get things organized.
Yeah, you got shit to do.
I can drive and do it all. Like if it let me do emails, I would like be so happy because sometimes you can't send the text message, but you got to do it through email. And it doesn't do emails, but like, yeah, text messages. Like when I was doing group projects in school, when I was trying to get groups together for whatever.
Yeah.
I can just drive and knock out things. Like little errands or little, I guess, I don't know if errands you have to go somewhere.
Task.
Just
you had to
task.
Yeah.
I can just knock shit off of my task list.
Yeah.
Off my to-do list in it that normally you'd have to be texting or calling. And also with music too. It's easy to just like scroll up and see it, you know? And it's like the most.
You almost have to hold the car companies now accountable because they know people are texting and driving. And they obviously have come up with, obviously you have an Apple Play, whatever it's.
Apple CarPlay.
Apple CarPlay. I mean, yeah, I don't have that. I do have an older car and it sucks that I can't just do that. So I'm reverting to look at my phone if that's something that I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like I try not to do it. Luckily, my aux cord doesn't work anymore, so I can't go look at songs. But that is a big one. You know, even for my GPS, I just finally bought a Dash GPS thing so I can put my phone there and not be on it. You know, this way I'm not. You see it and it's so sad. I mean,
it does suck. It sucks.
And I don't want to judge. Like I don't judge you for being on it. I understand. Like you got shit to do, and that's just the world that we're living in now. But like,
it's also
you
weird
can
too,
save your time. It's not like you're gonna.
Because do you ever like
the law just changed because some guy
you have to
killed that officer. It's so sad.
Yeah, you got to do it, and that's good that it happened because California's had it for a while and we didn't, and so
no texting and driving.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Or just being on
crazy.
your phone. Like California, I've known for a decade at least that I can remember, you had to get Bluetooth because you.
New York has been that way for a decade too. It's crazy. I came here and I was so surprised that was not even a law.
And it sucks because like you should call people out, but it still feels weird.
Dude, I honk every time I see somebody texting driving now.
Or not that, but like even just your buddy. Like when you hop in the car with a friend, and like his girlfriend's driving and she's just doing that, or even if he's doing it and he's just like driving and texting and like just doing that, it's like it feels weird to say like, yo, don't text and drive. But like at the same time, like,
well, who wants to hold anyone accountable?
Yeah,
everybody knows they don't want to be that guy.
At the same time, it's like, dude, you're driving me.
It's your life, their life,
like my
and
life,
everybody else on the road's life.
And it's like, yeah, people can get used to it, but at the same time, you never know. It takes a split second.
Well, so that's the biggest argument that I've heard right now is that just like changing your music or changing your AC or playing with the volume, changing the tune of the radio to whatever station, apparently checking your phone can be just as quick. Mm-hmm. So if you're just looking and reading a text real quick, it could be the same time that you're looking at the AC and whatnot. So that's the one argument I've seen that I don't agree with. I mean, I think you shouldn't be on your phone, but again, you know, it does make a little bit of sense how they do have a point there. You know, if you're sitting there and texting while you're driving, you got a problem. But if you're like looking and glancing, it's probably not as bad.
Not as big deal. Yeah.
But again, you shouldn't do it.
You shouldn't grab it. But yeah, people who straight up just two-hand text while driving. Oh my God, dude. I get road rage.
Even just little things. It pisses me off.
Do you know who Cody Co is on YouTube?
No.
All right. Well, Cody, he's like a YouTuber.
I might have seen.
And then you know who Jake Paul is?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jake Paul's
Logan Paul,
douchebag.
Jake Paul.
Yeah. So Cody Co, I think, is really funny. He's probably like your type of humor if you check him out. But he like kind of like shits on other people, but it's not shitting on them because it's just calling them out for the stupid things that they do. Like when people make really low effort videos that cater to kids just as a money grab.
Yeah.
He's like, come on. Like, you're talking about like being late to school and you're like 28 years old, like, and dressing up as like a little school kid, like no, come on, like you're just doing this for
better.
money.
Yeah.
You're not doing it in a creative way. And he does it in a pretty good way. I think people generally believe, and he has like 2 million subscribers. But Jake Paul called him out because he made a video about him a long time ago. Cody Ko did. And so recently he just made a video where he confronted him about being an internet bully or whatever. And the whole video is stupid, but he has a segment where he's driving to go like talk to him, and he's just in his car and he's just not holding the wheel. Like he's just talking to the camera and looking at the camera and just doing hand movements. Like this kid really, like, for like a good amount of time, dude.
While he's driving?
Yeah, while he was driving. And it was freaking me out because that's all he does is vlogs. So like I'm not going to go take a look at him, but like he just didn't touch the wheel, which like maybe his car
his
has
knees are
that
probably
like thing
going.
or like, well, it looked like maybe, but it's just still that stresses me out. Like I used to have buddies
Unless he's driving a Tesla.
who would go. We'd go to like Taco Bell or something. I just remember this one specific time we went to Taco Bell, and he was driving. We were 16. We were 16, like fresh, just newly got our license, and he's just driving with his knees and eating a burrito on the highway. And while I'm sitting there, I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. Not even when I'm in the car, in general. In general, like. He's like, no, dude, it's fine. I can do it. I'm like, still, like...
You shouldn't do it. I don't care if you can do it. You shouldn't do it.
You should not do that.
Damn.
If you're going to eat, you put one hand on the wheel and you hold your burrito and you, like, keep staring at the road.
Yeah.
But even then, you shouldn't because it's still a distraction. Like, you spill a little bit and you look down. Next thing you know, you hit someone. And they're like...
Dude, that's how I feel opening my friggin' hydro flask.
Yeah.
Sometimes I screw the top on too much, and I'm like,
just
no, I can't do this. Like,
looking at it,
I shouldn't be doing it. You know, I could do it, but...
I feel that.
Again, it is a split second.
Dude, I feel my thing when
you get
driving
cut off.
Is, you never know.
You never know. People just don't drive respectably here. You know, people are very selfish drivers. So
everywhere.
You might be doing that, and they might be doing the same and switching lanes.
Yeah, Staley's little sister is like getting her license right now. And she was like, well, what's the biggest thing to watch out for on the road? Like, is it the stoplights? Is it this? It's like, dude, no, it's just other drivers.
Other drivers, yeah.
I feel like most people are good drivers, but then there's a couple bad drivers that make some bad decisions, and then if you don't react correctly, and it's just experience. You know, that's why younger kids...
You have to be aggressive and defensive. You can't just be defensive.
It's the same way when I roll up to LA, as soon as I ride into Los Angeles and I can see the skyline, it just triggers in my mind, like, I got to be super aggressive because you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And I'm sure it's the same way in New York. I don't know if you drive in New York, but like, you have to.
Yeah.
It just like triggers like, okay, I can't drive the same way I was driving over there. Like, you got to be aggressive or it's dangerous to play too defensively. Because if you're slowing up and you're letting this guy pass you and you're trying to merge, well, you just slowed up everybody else. And then some guy in the back is, you got to be careful with it. But
well, you get a lot of people start cutting off and changing lanes. And in New York, you only get 2 lanes. It's so nice out here on the West Coast. You know, some highways, like in New York City, if you have the West Side Highway, there's like 3 lanes. I mean, but most of the highways are only 1 lane. You know, some of the like the Cross Bronx is 4 lanes, I think, or 5 lanes or something like that. So like the bigger lanes where you're going over bridges, there's gonna be more lanes. But for the most of them, most highways are only 2 lanes in New York. So you really only have the option of being in the right lane or getting the fuck out of the way in the left lane if somebody's trying to pass, you know. So people are more respectable because you only have that 1 lane to switch.
I feel that. All right, well, that was a good little half. You want to go get some food, get a drink or something?
Yeah.